please give a Comal ISD warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Chris Larson, owner of Blue Horizon Media. Chris partners with cities, school districts, and organizations across Texas to tell stories through video, photography, and drone work that highlight the people and programs making a difference in their communities. Before starting Blue Horizon Media, Chris spent years serving as a pastor, where he developed a passion for encouraging and equipping others. Today, he combines that same passion with storytelling, helping schools celebrate students, teachers, and the impact they have every day. Please join me in welcoming Chris Larson.
Hey! Listen, y'all know how to do a convocation. This is crazy. I'm from Alabama. We don't do stuff like this there. All we win is national champ. Y'all wouldn't know about that. Anyway, let's go back. Tell me I'm wrong. Listen, so this week, I'm getting ready to speak. I'm so excited to share with you, but I'm relaxing. I'm scrolling on my phone, and a dear friend of mine who's a coach and a teacher posts this post. He shares it, and it says, "Dear administrators, we have classrooms to get ready. We have assignments to prepare. We have things to get done. We don't need another wasted meeting, and we definitely don't need a speaker we didn't ask for." I love you. I said, "Hey, Philip." He goes, "What's up, man?" I said, I'm the speaker." He goes, "Oh, no, not you, Chris." Now, don't get me wrong, he's not in this district. I won't let you know the district. But I said, okay, then I need a tip. I need you to tell me, because I've been speaking for a long time. I love this. I said, what would be your piece of advice? He says, I'll give you 3 things. Give them hope, make them laugh, and punch them in the throat with truth. So here I am to give you hope, make you laugh, and I guess we're gonna punch you in the throat with truth. See, our phrase is stronger together, and I think that is so beautiful. It's a great phrase, but we cannot talk about the community around us until we talk about one thing, and that's the community within us. I can't talk about the culture around us. We can scream and yell, and some of you are already thinking, man, he's going deep already. I don't care about being your best friend. You're going to remember just 2 to 3 sentences when I'm finished, and I'm hoping to give you something that you can take from this. But the community around us and the culture around us, we can't change until we change the culture within us. So I guess it's my time to introduce myself, and I got permission to get on the floor, so I'm going to go back and forth, and I guess that's okay. So there I am. You ready? Follow me, cameraman. Let's get it. There I am, teaching at the alternative school. Love it. Give me the kids that want to fight you, my favorite. Right? Right? Where's my teachers that know how to check for shoes and stuff that you brought with you? My favorites. So there I am. I got hired, this is key, I need you to understand this. I got hired as elementary aide. Within 4 months, I was running the PE program and ISS. The budget department loved me. But there I am, and there is a girl that is having a crisis in class. And we were an outdoor campus. The hallways were outdoors. She runs through all the classrooms, breaking through, grabs a pair of scissors, and goes to harm herself outside of the class. I chase her down, and I sit from about the same distance as me and the cameraman, close enough that I could speak to her, but far enough away that I can protect myself. And as we're talking, I hear rustling around the corner, and I said, hold on a second. I go around, and there's 4 members of the police department ready to take the situation. I knew the guy in the front. I said, I need 2 minutes. Just 2. He goes, Chris, you have won. Within 1 minute, I get her to throw the scissors to the side. I get to walk her to the office, and we get to give her the help that she needs. I went back to my classroom feeling like I was a superhero. I got called Mr. Clean in the back hallway by one of the people back there, but it's a layup, right? And I feel so good about myself. Fast forward 4 months later, I'm in my classroom, and one of those professional students ran in my class. You know, the ones that probably need a W-2 with their diploma? One of those that you probably, have been here longer than most of the administrators. And he comes into my classroom because my classroom was by a bathroom. He runs in. I said, Robert, you need to go. And he didn't want to leave. And so he starts making fun of me and threatening me. He wants to fight me. Listen, I've done fighting my whole life. That sounds like fun. I don't want to get sued there, Robert. But then Robert goes, okay. He starts digging deeper. You ever have those students that just know to hit you when you're at your hard day, your low day, and know where to hurt you as a grown man? And then he starts talking about my mama. And I was like, you don't even know my mama. But in my head, I was like, somebody wants to talk about mamas. And I was having fun. But then, grown me, he starts making fun of my clothes. And I thought it wasn't going to bother me much, but I grew up not having much. So it pricked something in me. And then he brought up my kids. And he said, listen here, coach, I know you're poor, but if your kids ever need a real dad in their life, just let me know. At that moment, my lanyard came off. I'm not proud of this. It's just what it is. I said, I'm done. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, you're still talking. I'm not talking anymore. I'm done. I'd get paid as an elementary aide. We're finished. Come on. I said, plus you're old enough. You're a man, and you're going to talk to me like a man. And I'm sitting there, and he's walking backwards. No, coach, we're good. I said, no, we're not. And I'm walking, and I feel a hand on my shoulder, and it's the principal. Larson, go in your classroom. I said, nope. He cashed a check. It's time to bring him to the bank. I'm done. You don't pay me enough. I'm ready to go. And he said, office. I felt like Hamilton. Meet him inside. Meet him inside. Meet him inside. I'm feeling just this pressure, and I get into my room, and shame coats me. I was saving lives 4 months ago, and now I'm trying to fight a kid. Understandably, but now look how my highs and my lows went. Back it up a little bit more. I'm a middle school coach, volunteer at a private school, and we win. I'm the head coach. We win the championship. Parents are buying me food. I guess in Texas, they buy you belt buckles. They bought me a middle school football championship belt buckle. That's his most Texas thing that you could ever do. Man, I'm thinking nothing can beat me. Until a year later, that same family's cussing me out in the parking lot. Let's go even a little bit further back. I can remember when I passed the test for me to be a personal trainer, and I got my first job working at a gym, and I felt like nothing could stop me, but then you fast forward and I got fired from that same job. Why don't we go back a little bit farther, and I can tell you about the fact that in my junior year, I was the chaplain of my high school. The same high school that I broke a record that I'm not proud of, and I'm the first person that ever got kicked out of my high school. But let's go back a little bit farther and think about me as a young boy that was having so much fun with my family until I found out that my stepdad wasn't my real dad, and then I had to figure out that my real dad didn't want me. And I remember telling my mom, "What doesn't he want about me?" And see, my question to you is this. When I ask you to describe somebody, and I ask you to encompass who they are, typically within 2 sentences, you describe somebody. So what part of the story that I gave you are you going to describe me? Am I the son that a dad didn't want? Am I the one that won the championship? How do I describe myself? Because the truth is we do it all the time. You do it to each other. And it's not a bad thing. Growing up, if you had a boat, you were rich. I don't care if it was a John boat, you were rich. If you had a four-wheeler and a pool, you had all the friends. But most of the time what happens is we describe ourselves with our highest highs and our lowest lows. Now, cameraman, we're going to go back. I know you've been doing the work. I'm proud of you, but I got to go back to my notes and make sure we don't go too far. Follow me. Follow the gleam on the back of my bald head. Let's go back here. Insurance people, I apologize. I'm not using the stairs. But I got a question for you, a little challenge. And I want to put up the first slide here, and it's this. I am blank because blank. And I don't want you to answer out loud. I don't want you to think about it too loud. I want you to keep it quiet. But if I was to ask you with the second slide, I am blank because blank, how would you describe yourself? What would be the thing that you describe yourself in? And I don't want you to pay too much attention to the first, but I want you to think about your because. And I want to ask you, what happens if that because disappears? I feel like I'm doing okay. I got your attention. Nobody's walked out yet. I've been speaking for 20 years. But what happens if I lose my voice? What happens if all of a sudden now, today, some of you know because I got to announce it earlier, you got to know I really love you. You know why? Right now, my oldest daughter is going to UTSA and moving into her dorm. So excited, right? When you grew up not having a father, you also have to grow up thinking you have to prove yourself as a father. So I started to think, what if I'm failing my daughter that I can't prove I'm a good dad to take her to school? What happens if what happens if the job goes away? What happens if you don't get Teacher of the Year? What happens if you retire? You want an interesting study? Look at how many men, when they retire, slip into depression because they can no longer prove their worth by how much money they make, by what they do with their hands. Some of y'all are like, dang, we were just like doing song games, and all of a sudden he's going deep. You're welcome. See, because I need you to know that if it can be taken from you and it steals your identity, it's too small to be you. One time I got a phone call from this lady, and she was a coach at TLU, a basketball coach. And she said, I need to have lunch. I said, okay. So I sit with her, and she is bawling. I said, what's wrong? She goes, I grew up playing club basketball. I was the best. I was doing so good. Everybody wanted me to be on their team. And then I got into high school, and I made varsity as a freshman. And then I got a scholarship, and I got to go play in college. And she goes, I got to play in college, and it was amazing. And then all of a sudden, when I graduated, I got to be a coach. And she says, I now don't know who I am because I can't play it. And my athletes are wondering what's wrong with me. And it's because I can't enjoy being their coach because I don't know who I am if I'm not dribbling it. See, what happens so often is this, is with the things that we had, is you need to know from successes and failures and things that seasons change, you had an identity here before you got hired. But you also had an identity before you got hurt. You had an identity before you became a mother and a father. You had an identity before you got fired. You had an identity before you had the award, and you had the identity before you had the position. Something can be true about your story without becoming the truth of who you are. I'm going to tell you something real quick. And the goal, listen, when I was a young dad, I tried to be tough. My kids make fun of me all the time. I will cry at the drop of a hat thinking about my kids. And sometimes my phone bullies me and sends me like all these sad videos in a row. Anybody else's phone, yours does that too? But I can remember when my oldest daughter that's going out of college, and I'm not allowed to look up when this happens because I will lose it. But my daughter is struggling with her value and her worth because sometimes when it comes to what we're worth in our identity, we're our biggest bullies. I'm not a good teacher because I don't do it that way. I'm not a good administrator because they're better at this. I'm not good at this. And she was judging herself. And I said, hey, Presley, PJ, Junebug, come here. What is it, Dad? And I showed her this picture. Told you I can't look at it. I will lose it. I said, I want you to tell that little girl what you've been telling yourself. Give it to her. Go ahead. Go ahead. And she starts weeping. She goes, I'm not that little girl anymore. I said, who told you this? At what point did you think it was okay to talk to that little girl like that? What would you think it would do to that little girl? And she goes, I want to get back there. And I said, you never stopped being her. You never stopped being her. See, some of you, you judge yourself so hard, but I bet you if we took a picture of when you walked into your first classroom and you were beaming eye to eye and excited, I bet you would probably a little nicer to yourself if you could talk to yourself when you first started. I think sometimes what can happen is we can be so judgmental ourselves on the type of administrator, the type of worker that we are, the type of teacher that we are, the type of groundskeeper that we are. We almost bully ourselves in a way that we would never let someone talk to us at our younger stages like that. See, the person in that picture didn't disappear. Life just started adding adjectives. Some of y'all talk about yourselves too much, saying, I'm too old for this. I'm too young, I'm too inexperienced, I'm burned out. See, those chapters may describe you, but they don't define you. And it's key for you to know your identity is not your highest high and not your lowest low. I gave you some of my highest highs. I'm going to go and tell you right now, we are living a highest high right now. Like, I'm telling you, I'm going to float. Doctor, I am going to float all the way to UTSA to move my daughter's stuff in. But it won't be that long until my lies start telling me you're not that good of a dad. But you have to know your identity was never your highest successes and is definitely not your lowest moments. Because I bet you, if it was just you and me, we could probably talk about some moments of teaching that you're not proud of. Anybody ever had a moment? Raise your hand. I don't need you to point, but anybody ever had a moment that you went home going, you know what? I don't know if I can do this job anymore because if I get found out of how I just taught that class, I would fire myself. Raise your hand if that's ever been you. Raise your hand if somebody ever got in the hallway next to you and all of a sudden started doing things that you used to do going, oh, there we go. It's time for me to get up out of here. Don't point. Be nice to each other. But see, what happens is that we have this idea that our biggest shortcomings and our failures and our struggles and our worries about ourselves are the only prison. No. Perfection is a prison too. It's just a prettier one. Because all of a sudden you'll get the award and now you can't even just enjoy it, you have to live up to it. Perfection becomes a prison to where you don't even allow yourself to have an off day. Anybody ever been there self a critic? You didn't even allow yourself to enjoy a good time because you were beating yourselves up because all you could stare at was how you did it wrong? Anybody in here ever been hit with imposter syndrome that everybody was congratulating you on how good you were, but you couldn't enjoy it? Some of y'all think you're Nick Saban because you give yourself one day to enjoy it. That's a great coach. If you don't know, I know some of you guys don't know great coaches like that around here, but he has this rule, and it's a 24-hour rule. It's only beginning. Get ready. I need you to say something with me right now. I need you to say, my job is my assignment. My job is my assignment, not my identity. Because what happens when you no longer are a teacher? What happens when you don't have a classroom you can prove it to? What happens when all of a sudden now you don't have the grades to prove and the test scores? What happens when you don't have the awards? What happens? And I'm here to tell you, you were a teacher before you were given a classroom. See, for me, and I'm not going to spend long on this, I'm getting close. You heard that I was a pastor. I was a pastor for 20 years. And subconsciously what happened is I started believing my worth on how good I spoke on a Sunday. I could be horribly feeling, but I would speak great, I'd feel good. When I no longer became a pastor, I no longer had a realm for me to prove my worth of what I was doing and how well I would do it. Because I saw my identity as that job instead of just as an assignment. My assignment is where I get to use my identity. It's not the other way around. Next slide I want you to see is this. You don't pour from teaching. And I'm going to have an opportunity to make some people mad. And I love you, but I need you to hear me with your heart. You don't pour from teaching. You pour through teaching. Hey, dads, guess what? Your identity's not dad. Because you had an identity before you came a dad. And you'll have an identity when your kids move out. What do you mean, Chris? My identity was dad so much, I was outrunning the dad that didn't want me. I found myself afraid of my oldest daughter because I was afraid if she saw I wasn't the perfect dad, I wouldn't be good enough. So I started proving myself and proving myself and proving myself. And my daughter one day was like, Dad, you're a great dad. I was like, I'm trying. She goes, no, you are. But I couldn't hear her because I was still outrunning the dad that didn't want me. I was still outrunning the times that I failed. And she said, Dad, you're the best dad I could ever dream of. And it took me a while to believe it. And it's because my identity was dad, but the truth is this, there was an identity inside of me that I get to use fatherhood. Because some of you, you're carrying around the fact you don't have a great relationship with your kids. Some of you, your classroom's not clean like you want it to be. Some of you, your money doesn't stack up to as much bills that you've got, and you've carried this weight in with you. See, I want to show you something real quick, and it's a line that happens, and I've seen it too many times. When your identity's wrong, you begin to work out of obligation. You no longer work out of being who you are. You now begin to, I have to do this. I have to show up. I have to work here. I have to do this. I have to show up. And then what happens is you begin to walk in offense. Do they not see how hard I work? Do they not see everything I give? Do they not see how many times I have cooked and cleaned and done these things? And you begin to walk in offense, and then you begin to lose hope. No one will ever see how much I give. You don't walk in work anymore happy. You walk in work waiting for someone to miss your gift. And then what happens is you can get cynical. That new bubbly personality comes in. I am so excited to teach. Give us some time. Give us some time. Oh my gosh, did you see my classroom? Did you see mine? Give it a year, you'll be there. Oh my gosh, I got all the kids these cool toys. They're gonna choke on it. You ever seen a kid choke? Okay, get ready. Dude, I really think we're gonna be able to go somewhere far this year. Have you met the kids at our school? And all of a sudden, what will happen is you will begin to be cynical for things that were supposed to bring you hope. Sometimes new energy reveals where I lost my hope. But I want to show you something. See, what happens is we think the things that we're carrying, just because we can't see them, doesn't mean it doesn't bother us. See, some of y'all walk into work like this. Oh, hey, y'all. It's so good to see you. Ooh, what's up? Man, it's so good to be here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. You guys ready to teach? You ready to go? And then we get tired. How many of you think you'd get tired dragging this thing around for a while? See, what happened is, I'm going to tell you, my son, my youngest son, plays baseball. Anybody have anybody with an 8-year-old son, 9-year-old son at that age? Yeah, There's a little fear in her voice. They're the best loving, crazy things ever. One time he was playing a baseball game, and have you ever swallowed so much you couldn't swallow anymore and you started freaking out? He was playing baseball. I was like, what in the world? Are you good? I'm his coach, and I'm trying to be tough dad. He's like, I need out. I was like, no, you don't. Play the game. There's no crying in baseball. Listen, he comes over to me weeping. He goes, Dad, I couldn't swallow. Get a drink of water. That was a year ago. Are you ready for this? Since then, a water bottle has never left his side. Every store. Do you know there's been times that we've had to turn around to go get the water bottle because he's afraid that he's not going to have something to drink in a place? See, to him it's a water bottle, but to me for a while I saw this. Because it wasn't a water bottle, it was fear he wasn't going to be able to swallow. And he carries it with him everywhere he goes. See, some of y'all, it's the fact that your marriage is going through some things. Some of y'all, it's the fact that you are really scared to be in your first year teacher. And some of y'all are walking through the fact that, man, I don't know where I can find myself in this new culture. And you're dragging these things around, and here's the scary part. Are you ready? I need your 3 help. Come here. Come on. Okay. When I'm carrying something and we're hanging out, I want you to walk with me. Let's go. Okay, let's go. Come on, walk here. We're hanging out, okay? And I'm walking. And have you ever had somebody have an issue and you know they're waiting for you to acknowledge it? I guess you guys don't really love me because you're not helping me carry this. Do you not see how hard I work and what I'm going through? Grab a handle. Let's go. That's so much better. What I don't choose to face, I make the people around me carry. If I am bitter, you now are bitter with me, and we don't like her in the office anyway. Let's go. if he sits in my classroom one more time doing a review of how I teach, but you know good and well he's on his emails of walk with me. It doesn't even match her hair. What happens is they begin to get weary because they are carrying my offense, my fear, my problems, my troubles. And you know what will happen? You'll either choose to adopt my fears, my pain, and my worry, or you'll choose to distance yourself from me because you don't want to be around me. Oh, yeah. Loving me doesn't mean we don't talk about what I'm carrying. Loving me means you love me past what I'm carrying. Loving me means you don't allow my problems, my fighting, my issues to become my identity. It doesn't mean I'm not going to carry them. You guys are going to be the most important things in each other's lives. Especially if you have to teach these kids and you have to show up and be there for them, but on the back, you're crying because you don't know if your kid's going to make it through. You don't know if the sickness is going to go away. You don't know if the marriage is going to make it. You don't know if the bills are going to be paid, but you got to show up. You guys get to be there for each other, not carry each other's fence, but carry each other through to healing. Y'all give them a hand clap, please. Y'all give them a hand clap. See, because what will happen is you'll carry this and you'll get tired of it. And some of you have talked about retirement before your gift has been dry, not because you're tired of it, because nobody challenged you to leave it alone. Some of you have been carrying stuff in here and you were like, this is amazing. And you were ready to smack a kid on the way here. Some of you are so excited about this school year, but you don't know if you're going to make it. And I'm here to tell you, some of you are carrying heavy things that no one can see. See, eventually what you're carrying changes how you carry yourself. But let me tell you this. You don't have to carry it, but you can't change what you won't face. Culture is an overflow of how I teach, and it's in me. And it's time for us to get our hope back. It's time for us to get our hope back. Enjoy this again. Stop proving, stop performing, stop keeping score, and we get to breathe again. See, I need you to know this, and this is going to be key for you. Your students don't need a perfect teacher. They need a present one. They don't need a perfect teacher. They need a present one. Present enough to notice, present enough to listen and laugh, present enough to admit when you're wrong, present enough to see an overlooked kid, present enough to believe that they can, present enough that they actually will be in the room with the student. Perfection says, how am I doing? Presence says, how are we doing? The more energy I spend trying to prove I'm a good teacher, the less energy I have to actually be one. And see, this is where we're going to finish. You ready for this? This is going to be fun. We're going back down. Cameraman, follow me. I promise you, this is the end. This is the subject of what it looks like. Anybody ever had a Swiss Army knife? 5 minutes and I'm finished. Anybody ever have a Swiss Army knife? It's the best way to see that you're stronger together. And see, if you truly grab a hold of your identity, you're going to realize you were never supposed to compete with each other's gifts. You were supposed to operate together because you're stronger together. You want to know why? Because some of you are the best bus drivers in the world. I'm talking your kids love you. And some of you, I saw how you parked. You don't ever need to drive a student. Some of you, anybody in here, your favorite teacher was actually a lunch lady? I loved my lunch ladies. They'd see me coming. And let me go ahead and tell you a little sneak peek. If there's any students, find a way to get really cool with a lunch lady because you'll always get like double portions and food you're not supposed to get. Some of you know how to ration all the food correctly, and some of you burn ramen. Some of you You know how to work to run a nickel scheme and know how to plan the offense and the defense and how to be able to get somebody's 40 shorter. And some of you would probably make us have to raise our insurance needs if you were ever a kindergarten teacher. Some of you, you are amazing at teaching what you teach, but you can't count. So we do not need you in the budget office. Some of you know a way to speak languages to student, but if you look at a plant, you're going to kill it, and you know we need you away from the lawnmowers. We can't all be the same type of teacher, because if we do, we're a Swiss Army knife with 15 knives that look just alike, and we're useless. I don't need you to be like me, and I don't need to be like you. But when you realize you're stronger together, you stop competing with each other's gifts, and you start celebrating, because some of you need to be glad you don't teach middle school. I could not teach in a classroom where kids don't know hygiene doesn't mean just spray Axe or cologne on yourself. And I feel bad for y'all, because what is the year this year? 2026, 2027? 6, 7? Have fun with that. Have fun with that. Some of y'all just died inside. But see, what happens is this, is that when we begin to stop competing with our own identity, I allow you to be strong in yours, because you being strong in yours doesn't mean I'm weak in mine. So some of you can teach an amazing singing class and know how to make kids hit pitch, and some of you can't. And if no one's told you, you don't have friends that love you, baby. It's what it is. So as we leave today, you're going to go to a classroom full of students dragging a weight. Because I'll finish with this. Remember the student that I said I wanted to fight? Next day I show up feeling this big, tiny. And I'm waiting in the check-in room for him to walk through. And he doesn't walk through. He had gotten hold of some synthetic stuff, had a seizure, and was in the hospital. And guess what happened the moment I heard he wasn't good? All my hurt, my offense, my anger, my frustration was out the window. When I got seated knowing I don't need to prove myself to my students, and they don't need to prove themselves to me. When I'm seated in my identity, knowing I was gifted to do the very thing I'm gifted, I allow you to do the same. And when I stop competing with you, I can actually see you when you're tired. And there's a story where there was an army that was fighting, and as long as the leader on the hill had his arms up, they were winning. But his arms got tired and they started dropping. So 2 guys came alongside him and held his arms up. And there was a winning battle because they were willing to hold each other's arms up. So when somebody in this room starts to doubt their identity, you need to hold their arms up and remind them they're better than their biggest win, and they're better than their biggest failure. They're better than how long they've been going. And you know what'll happen? Older teachers will start grabbing younger teachers and go, listen, I'm going to help you out. And younger teachers won't see it as an attack. New ideas won't be a problem. New things that the district's coming forward won't be just a problem. It'll be, man, look at us growing. Look where we're going. Look what we're changing. And one day, when they tell 2 sentences about this district, they won't talk about everything. They won't care what your classroom looks like. They won't care what you're looking like in the sports. They're going to talk about this district with 2 sentences. And I'm telling you this, if you find your identity correctly and walk in yours, you will change lives. And there is a great chance that this whole region will be different because you're different today. Thank you, Kamal. You have a blessed day.
Let's hear it one more time for Chris Larson.